South Georgia. The first person to land here was Captain Cook in 1675. We are arriving at Grytviken, where the first land-based whaling station at South Georgia was set up in 1904. Between then and 1965, over 175,000 whales were processed here. Grytviken nestles at the base of the iced peaks of Mount Sugartop and Deuce Fell. We are going ashore in the evening for a Christmas service at the Whalers' Chapel. You will see and hear just a sample of the whole service.
It has been the scene of many extraordinary events. Births, baptisms here, even marriages in this extraordinary place. And of course, probably the most famous person who made his last voyage through this church was, of course, the legendary explorer Sir Ernest Shackleton, dying in January 1922 on the deck of his last exploring ship, the Quest. An amazing place to die for an amazing man, probably fitting. In fact, at first his body was sent home. It reached Montevideo and his wife sent a message, no, he must be returned to South Georgia and buried here. This is where his spirit lays. And indeed, when you go to the grave, all the graves normally, as you know, are laid east to west, except Sir Ernest Shackleton, who's laid north to south. A correct fitting for a great polar explorer. As I say, it is a very wonderful church. And you here tonight keep this wonderful tradition going of extraordinary people coming to this extraordinary place.
Before you leave the ship, some important information. When you come on shore, please keep away from the animals. The church is open and the museum will open at 8:30, but please don't enter any old buildings, it's dangerous. We will have a traditional ceremony today at the grave of Sir Ernest Shackleton at 10:30, and last boat will be today at 11:30. We wish you an interesting morning in Grytviken.
Each of the zodiacs carries the name of a famous explorer. In the museum there are many items of interest. Early outfits for explorers, a cross-section of Endurance, Shackleton's ship, a picture of his coffin in the local chapel, and items from the whaling days. You've heard of the crow's nest. This barrel was secured to the top of a mast. The lookout stood in it and scratched drawings and initials inside it. We know that harpoons were fired at whales, but I never realised before that there was a grenade at the end of the harpoon, which was fired by a time fuse, sending shrapnel through the whale's body. In this photo, the gun has just been fired. It is appalling to think that the Japanese are still killing whales, supposedly for scientific research, but they eat whale meat. Even the Norwegians have resumed commercial whaling. You can join the protest by visiting the Greenpeace website. The whaling station produced whale oil, seal oil, whale bone meal and meat extract. All were needed in the early part of the 20th century, but with the end of whaling, many of the buildings are now abandoned. What a wonderful backdrop for the church. Past the Weddell Seals to the graveyard where David Fletcher, our guide, talks about Shackleton.
But South Georgia had often been the centre of his activities. Of course, in 1914, he left here for his epic trip to try and cross Antarctica. And of course, unfortunately, like many of his expeditions, he never actually achieved the goal he wanted. His ship was crushed in the Weddell Sea. He was forced to abandon the ship and pull boats and sail the boats to Elephant Island, another place we hope to be visiting in a few days. There he left 22 of his men and set off in the most remarkable boat journey that has ever been undertaken. And that was, of course, himself and 5 men in the James Caird, 23 foot long, 6 foot wide, 850 miles across the roughest ocean in the world, looking for a little island like South Georgia. The navigation was remarkable, and he made this island, of course, landing on the other side of the island at King Haakon, the wrong side of the island. He had to cross the island. You've already seen what this island looks like. It had never ever been crossed. Most of the whalers never went more than a few hundred metres inland, and Shackleton was faced with a crossing. Shackleton, Worsley and Crean made that crossing in 36 hours. Really quite incredible undertaking. Coming down to the whaling stations at Stromness. Again, another place we will be seeing this afternoon. So where we're going on our cruise is very much linked up with Shackleton. So ladies and gentlemen, let's just spend a few moments here with this great man, and a genuinely great man, a real humanitarian, a great explorer, and it's always such an honour just to stand in this most remarkable corner of the earth, just to spend a few moments with him. Thank you.
And so, back to the landing point, past the King Penguins. This has been a magical Christmas, one that we'll never forget. We're off to Stromness. Look out for the video.